Good evening, everyone. This is Robert Newkirk, and I'd like to welcome you back to our YouTube channel. In today's podcast, we are interviewing Mrs. Katrina Walker. Ms. Katrina Walker is the co-founder and executive director of Walker's Winners, a nonprofit organization in St. Louis, Missouri. She co-founded this organization with her son, Jordan Walker, who's the outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. Katrina Walker, she has a degree from Harvard University. She also has degrees from Emory University in Atlanta and Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. She has 25 years in public education, and she has taught 9th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grades, served as an IB coordinator and department chair, and led a 400-member National Honor Society organization. She believes that every student deserves access to rigorous and engaging education, regardless of zip code or family's bank account. Her personal statement is the philosophical term of budgeting in 3 dimensions. Katrina has said, personal experience has taught me that one's ability to come to fruition through access to opportunities and resources, coupled with one's own hard work. When we invest in young people, when we help them manifest their potential, not only do we make them better, but we make our communities better because we honor the commitment we should have to each other and to our future. So sit back and stay tuned because this is going to be good. And I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Katrina Walker. Hello, everyone. Welcome to segment 4 of our mini podcast series of budgeting in 3 dimensions. I'm with Ms. Katrina Walker, and we're going to go ahead and continue our interview real quick. In your opinion, what's the probability of a person being able to achieve their financial goals with a budget versus a person without a budget?
I am a firm believer of beginning with the end in mind. So I don't even know what goals you would have without some idea of kind of what it would take to get there. So I would say that it is integral to success because you can define, because I think as long as you say goals without some tangible steps of getting there, then it's something that's nebulous. You haven't really even fully defined it. So yeah, I think it's critical to that success.
Well, if budgeting makes that much of a difference in a person's financial success, then what is your opinion of why more people do not use budgets as a part of their process?
Like I would imagine that there might be 2 main reasons. One, you feel like you don't know how. Like you may have the like a general idea, but it doesn't feel like it fits the way you live. And then 2, I would imagine is people who've tried it and then it feels like too tedious to maintain. So I'll speak from experience. I had mentioned earlier that Derek and I used Quicken, and sometimes we found that just the effort of tracking expenses took so much time that it was hard to prioritize that, particularly as our lives got busier. Kids got to be more active. The one thing to like wake up on a Saturday morning when the kids are here and kind of handle like putting in and tracking expenses. And then it'd be something else, like if there are soccer games to go to or, activities throughout the weekend. So I think being able to manage it in a way that feels easy is key to people sticking with it. And so I know you're saying budgeting. And so I think budgeting is the front end, right? But for budgeting to work, it's like tracking what you're doing against what you plan to do.
Mhm.
And so I think finding ways to streamline it. And I know that, now there are some really great online tools that make it easier. So it's not you download, like when Derek and I first started doing it, it was like you'd have to go to the account, like download it, then categorize it. And it was a lot. So finding a way to define what you're trying to do in life and to kind of put those in categories of a budget and thinking short term, medium term, and long term, and then finding an easy way to maintain tracking of that process as you're also living your life.
And I think that's also a case where when you talk about budgeting, our philosophy, budgeting 3 dimensions, you actually explain the first 2 dimensions absolute, because not only do you have to plan, but you do have to track in the process. And a lot of people kind of get stuck on the planning, but then all of a sudden when that emergency comes in, then it's a case like, oh, well, the budget's blown. What are we gonna do? We didn't plan for the car to break down on the 15th of the month. We didn't plan that. But it's the third dimension too, is going back and summarizing what we did as terms of what you actually were able to accomplish with your budgeting, and find the pitfalls of your spending process so that you can correct those things in the following months. So I appreciate you actually bringing that out and so forth. But we were talking about a little bit about you and Derek were both like-minded, and both that you were savers. But I've had a lot of spenders coming in and tell me it's a waste of time to budget money. I might as well just spend a little bit that I have. Do you see a little flaw in that philosophy?
I mean, I think it depends on how people want to live their lives, and I think the entirety of their lives. For me, I want the security of knowing that if emergencies come up, that I'm better able to handle them. And I also just have, when I think of stewardship, that it's not fulfilling, just to spend. There just has to be a plan. So I'm one who, just in thinking long term, if I spend it now, like what if, even if I'm a spender, what if I spent it on this thing now and there's even something better that I want later on? So there is this tendency to kind of want to think long term, to kind of want to be able to get more information and figure out the best thing to spend it on. And then, I've heard people talk about dying broke, right? Like, what's the point of, you can't take it with you? Why have this pot of money that you do nothing with? And if one knew how long one was going to live, then, I can see almost like a reverse mortgage, like using it up to that point, date certain, where you're done. But I think what we find in life is that the unexpected comes up, and the more resourced we are to deal with it, the more peace we have. I think I sometimes hear from people who've spent it also like a franticness at those points where they need it and don't have it. And so as a person who doesn't want to feel frantic because I need something and don't have it, like, that's not a satisfactory approach for me. But I think for people who feel that it is a satisfactory approach, I would just ask, do they feel a continual sense of peace, like in spending? And also, I think there's a question of, why are you spending? And this may get more philosophical, but it actually, comes from the course that my son was taking, because the professor just asked people to think about their relationship to money. And sometimes money is a proxy for something else, that and if it is, that means you're using it to fill a void that's going to be better filled another way. So I just would I would maybe, for me, I would say being reflective about why I'm spending, what I'm spending it on, and does it bring me the joy that I expect it to bring? And am I okay with maybe at some future point needing this money and not having it. Am I going to be okay with that?
Just
Okay. Hey, I like that explanation. So we're going to go ahead and continue in the next segment with our talk with Katrina Walker in our podcast that we're doing series right now of budgeting in 3 dimensions. So stay tuned. This is Robert Newkirk, and I would like to thank you for visiting our YouTube channel. If you like some more information about Walker's Winners, feel free to visit their website at www.walkerswinners.org. And also, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and find some more information about us at our website, www.robertfnewkirk.com. Thank you so much for visiting, and I look forward to the next opportunity to talk to you around our theme, budgeting in 3 dimensions.